Alright guys, for day 4 we are focused on solving two-step equations, and this is a 7th grade standard. This is going to be new to some of you, maybe not all of you, but to most of you for sure. I want to start by looking at your guided notes that was provided in your packet. We have problem number 1 in your guided notes is -10 minus 5n is equal to 25. Now, what I want to make sure that you continue is drawing a line through your equal sign. Remember, that does nothing more than to separate the left-hand and right-hand side of the equation. Now, what we need to do is understand our role is to get your variable n by itself on the left-hand side. So I've got to get rid of this -10 and I got to get rid of this -5. So what we want to do is we want to first think of order of operations. So order of operations, we have parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. We follow order of operations to simplify expressions. To solve equations, and that's what this is because it has an equal sign, it's an equation, we do order of operations backwards. So we first focus on addition and subtraction. So what we want to do is look to the side where our variable is found, and we want to ask ourselves, is there anything trying to add or subtract? And there is. We have this -10. Now you need to ask yourself, what is the opposite of -10? And that's going to be adding 10. Now, just like one-step equations, what we do to one side we have to do to the other, so I'm going to add 10 to the right-hand side as well. The 10s cancel. It leaves me with -5n is equal to, and that's a -25 in your packet. So -25 plus 10 is going to be -15. Some of us are starting to maybe wonder, why am I treating this as a negative? Because in the problem it was a subtraction. Remember that with change, all subtraction problems can be looked at as adding a negative. So that's why I have kept this as a -5. Once we make it to this step, we're able to look at this as a one-step equation because there is only one more step until we solve the equation. So the -5 is trying to multiply your variable. I know that because it's sitting right next to it. So I'm going to then divide by -5 on both sides of the equal sign. -5 divided by -5 is 1, so it leaves me n is equal to -15 divided by -5 is positive 3. Now, as I talked to you in the day 1 and day 2 video, the check step is important. So we can go ahead and substitute in our original equation. We had -10 minus 5n is equal to -25. Now we just solved this where we know that n is equal to 3. So I'm going to take our value of n, substitute it in for the n. So I have -10 minus 5 times 3 is equal to -25. Now, what I have is I'm going to cover up the equal to -25, and now when I cover that up and I want to simplify this, it's an expression because it no longer has the equal sign. I do 5 times 3, which is 15. So -10 minus 15. You can apply change here if that's how you see it. But -10 minus 15 is -25. And that is equal to what the equation said it should be. That is how I know that we have the correct solution. Also in your guided notes, there is another problem that looks like this, negative 5, is equal to x divided by 20 minus 6. Okay, so again, I want you to draw the line through the equal sign to separate the two sides. Find your variable. Now your goal is to get this variable by itself. So you need to get rid of this negative 6, and you need to get rid of the 20. Remember, with equations, we're going to do order of operations backwards. So instead of PEMDAS, we're going to start with addition and subtraction. Go to your equation, ask yourself, do I have any addition or subtraction here? And I do. I have minus 6. So I want to get rid of that first. Now, what is the opposite of minus 6? It would be adding 6 to both sides. Negative 6 plus 6 cancels. It leaves you with x over 20. Negative 5 plus 6 is equal to 1. Now we have a one-step equation. The 20 is trying to divide. I know that because of it's a fraction, and all fractions are division problems. So I'm going to multiply this by 20, multiply this by 20. 20's cancel, leaves you with x equals 20 times 1, which is 20. Now let's talk about our check step. Our check step, we have the original problem, negative 5 is equal to x divided by 20 minus 6. We know, or we solved, x is equal to 20. So I'm going to take the value of x, substitute it in wherever I see x in the equation, and I have negative 5 is equal to 20 over 20 minus 6. Now, I'm going to cover up the equal to negative 5. Here we have an equation, or a expression. Now, we would do 20 divided by 20, which is 1. And kind of run out of room. So I have 1 minus 6. 1 minus 6 is negative 5, and the equation says that it should be equal to negative 5. So I have these two as a true statement. Therefore, I know that my solution is correct. Day 4's assignment. Number 1 on the assignment is 46 is equal to negative 10x minus 4. Now, we are going to draw our line to separate our two sides. Remember, when solving equations, we're going to use order of operations backwards. So we're going to start with addition and subtraction, and work our way up towards parentheses. Now, our goal is to get rid of the negative 4 and the negative 10. Now, we're going to look at, do we have any addition or subtraction in our problem? And we do. We have minus 4. Now, what is the inverse of minus 4? And that's going to be adding 4 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 4 cancel. And 46 plus 4 is 50 is equal to negative 10x. We don't have any more addition and subtraction, so we're going to move up. Do you have any multiplication or division? So the negative 10 is trying to multiply your variable, so I'm going to divide by negative 10, and then I'm going to come here and divide by negative 10. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 is 1, so with the way we write 1x, it is x equals 50 divided by negative 10. Think of your integer rules. Different sign, so I have negative 5 as my solution. Number 2, 6 plus n divided by 10 is equal to 4. I'm going to draw my line separating the two sides. Remember, your goal is to get your variable by itself on one side. So I got to get rid of this 6 and I got to get rid of this 10. Looking at your order of operations, starting at the bottom, do you have anything that's trying to add or subtract to your variable? Well, you do. You have the 6, and it is a positive 6. So the opposite of positive 6 is negative 6. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So negative 6 and positive 6 cancel one another. They equal 0, so they cancel. Leaves me with n divided by 10 is equal to negative 2. Now, this 10 is trying to divide n. I know that because it looks like a fraction. And remember, all fractions are division problems. So I'm going to multiply this by 10. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. The 10s over here cancel. And the reason for that is because if you start with a number, you divide it by 10, and you turn around and multiply it by 10, you're going to end up right back where you started. So these two are opposite or inverse, so they cancel. That leaves you with n equals negative 2 times 10 is negative 20, and that is our solution. Number 3, we have negative 8 minus 3m is equal to negative 14. I'm going to draw my line. Again, that's just to separate the left and right hand side. We have the m. Our goal is to get it by itself, so I got to get rid of the negative 8 and the negative 3. So we're going to look at our order of operations. We're going to look and see that we have addition or subtraction. We have subtraction here. Opposite of negative 8 is plus 8. I'm going to add 8 to both sides of the equal sign. These cancel. Leaves me with negative 3m on the left hand side, and that's going to be negative 6. Now, the negative 3 is sitting right next to the variable m, so that means that it is trying to multiply. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. The way we show 1 is we simply, 1m is just m, and negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. So they're same sign, so it's going to be positive 2. Right, problem number 4. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. Now I need to get rid of this 7 and negative 7. We're going to start with addition and subtraction. So we have this 7 here. The opposite of positive 7 is negative 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. These cancel. They equal 0. Negative 7n is equal to negative 140 minus 7 is going to be 133. Now from here, the negative 7 is trying to multiply, so the inverse operation would be to divide both sides by negative 7. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1, and the way we write that is n equals negative 133 divided by negative 7. Well, I know it's going to be negative because they're different sign, and that would need to be 19, I believe. Okay. Number 5. Number 5, we have x divided by 9 plus 9 is equal to 11. Let me go ahead and draw my ruler, or draw my line. Find my variable. I need to get rid of both of these 9s. Start with addition and subtraction. I do have addition, so the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. The 9s cancel. That leaves me with x divided by 9 is equal to 11 minus 9, which is going to be 2. The 9 is trying to divide. I know that because it looks like a fraction. All fractions are division problems. So I'm going to do the opposite, which is multiply both sides by 9. These 9's cancel because whatever number I start with, if I divide that number by 9 and then turn around and then multiply that number by 9, I'm going to end up at the same place. So these two cancel each other. Leaves me with x equals 2 times 9, which is 18. Number 6. Number 6, we have n divided by 10 plus 3 is equal to 5. Now I'm going to draw my line separating the two sides. I am going to look and see that this 3 is trying to add. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. Remember, your goal is to get n by itself. So you have to get rid of the 3, and we're also going to have to get rid of this 10. So we have n divided by 10 is equal to 5 minus 3, which is 2. Now this 10 is trying to divide. So I'm going to multiply it by 10. Come over here and multiply this side by 10. These 10's cancel. It leaves me n equals 2 times 10 is 20. Number 7. Number 7 is 6 plus x divided by negative 2 is equal to negative 2. So I'm going to draw my line. Remember, to solve equations, we're going to use order of operations, so please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We're going to follow the order of operations backwards to solve equations. Our goal is to get x by itself over here on the left-hand side, so I got to get rid of this 6, and I got to get rid of this negative 2. We're going to start with addition and subtraction. So the 6 is trying to add to my variable, so I'm going to get rid of it first. The 6 is positive, so what's the opposite of a positive 6? And that's going to be a negative 6. And when I do to one side, I have to do to the other to keep the two sides equal. 6 minus 6 is 0. Leaves me with x divided by negative 2 is equal to negative 2 minus 6. So these are same sign. With same sign, we add them and keep the sign. Next, in order of operations, multiplication and division. This negative 2 is trying to divide. I know that because it looks like a fraction. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2. The negative 2's cancel. Leaves me with x equals negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16. Number 8. Negative 22 is equal to 5 minus 9x. Okay. Draw your line separating the two sides. Now, with this one, the way it's written, it's a little bit different, but you need to understand that the 9 is trying to multiply. The 5 is actually trying to subtract here. So we need to get rid of the 5 first. The 5 is positive, so to get rid of it, I'd have to subtract 5 from both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0. You need to understand that this is negative 9x. That needs to come with you. Negative 22 minus 5, same sign, add, keep the sign. The negative 9 is trying to multiply your variable. I know that because it's sitting right next to it. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1. The way we write 1x is simply x equals negative 27 divided by negative 9. Same sign, so it's positive 3. Number 9. Negative 55 is equal to 9x plus 8. I'm going to draw my line separating the two sides. order of operations backwards. So I'm going to actually look for addition and subtraction. I have adding 8, so I'm going to do the opposite, which is subtracting 8. 8 minus 8 cancels, so equals 0. That leaves 9x here equals negative 55 minus 8. So this is same sign, so you're going to add them together, which is 63. Keep the sign, which is negative. The 9 is trying to multiply x. Opposite of that is to divide both sides by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So x is equal to negative 7. Number 10. Number 10 is v divided by 2 plus 5 is equal to 2. I'll draw my line separating the two sides. Again, we're going to start by getting rid of any addition or subtraction. I have adding 5. The opposite of adding 5 is subtracting 5. I have to do that from both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0, so those cancel. I have v divided by 2 left is equal to 2 minus 5, which is going to be negative 3. The 2 is trying to divide, so I'm going to multiply this side by 2. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. The 2's cancel. It leaves you with v equals negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Now, that completes assignment number 4. However, one of the things that you need to make sure that you're doing is showing us your check step. I'm going to do that with a couple of these problems, and hopefully that's enough for you to understand how to do it, and you'll need to do it for the rest of the problems. So I'm going to do it with problem number 1. Problem number 1, we had 46 is equal to negative 10x minus 4. And we got x is equal to negative 5. So I'm going to take the value that we got for x. I'm going to substitute that in for x. So I have 46 is equal to negative 10. Now this is times, remember, times negative 5 minus 4. Once I do that substitution, I'm going to cover up the equal sign and whatever's on the opposite side. And I'm going to use order of operations to simplify this. Now once I cover that up, all I have left is an expression. So I'm going to follow order of operations. And I'm going to do negative 10 times negative 5. A negative times a negative is a positive. 50 minus 4. 50 minus 4 is 46. The equation was set equal to 46. Since this is a true statement, I know this is the correct value for x. Problem number 2 is 6 plus n divided by 10 is equal to 4. And we had n is equal to negative 20. I'm going to take the value of n, substitute it in for your variable of 6 plus negative 20 divided by 10 is equal to 4. Now after I've done my substitution, I'm going to cover up the equal sign and the 4. And now what I have here is an expression. And when we simplify expressions, we follow order of operations. So I have division. Negative 20 divided by 10 is going to be negative 2. So I have negative 2 plus 6. 6 plus negative 2 is 4. The equation was set equal to 4. Since this is a true statement, I know that this is the correct value of n. The last thing that you all need to do today is you need to look at your learning target reflection. And again, we're talking about day number 4. I can solve two-step equations. And we want you to talk about or reflect, what did you learn? how do you solve two-step equations? Maybe it's better if you explain it to us that way. And then we want you to write a two-step equation of your own and solve it. Now, if there's not enough room on this paper to do those things, you can do it on your own paper. Guys, I hope you have a great day.